Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the RHAP Roundtable podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about everything from the Big Brother 27 live feed. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me this week to talk about the feeds and rate the players based on how well we think they are doing in the game is Aysha. How you doing, Aysha?
I'm doing well. I'm very excited to be here talking about this house that is just every person just gives you so many talking points. But it wouldn't be this fun if everyone was like an amazing Big Brother player, right?
Who knows? We'll never know, perhaps.
We'll never know.
Also with us, of course, is Melissa. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm doing great. Can no one just like be good? Like, can no one just be a good player? No, can't have that. Okay, it's like every week, it's like the people who we were like last week thinking was, they're the best ones in the house. Like that's who we've got. It's like the next week, it's just like, oh nope, never mind. They don't want to be good. No.
Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on here. Of course, just to catch you up, if you are not caught up in the world of Big Brother 27, Ava won the HOH. She nominated Keanu, Zach, and Vince for eviction. Then Katherine went on to win the veto. She has now decided not to use the veto. And that, of course, only left Zach's power, the 10K veto power that he can use at the end of the veto ceremony. He decided not to use his 10K veto power for reasons we cannot even fathom, because he still hasn't told anyone about it and therefore has not explained this madness. But Zach has left himself on the block despite basically being told by multiple people that at best his odds are 50-50 against either person on the block.
So when did $10,000 become worth more than $750,000?
Who's that guy? Terrence Howard, who had some weird math or something? I don't know.
It just doesn't make sense. Of all the unpredictable things that have happened in this house, that was the one sure thing that I thought was about to happen this week. Like, I was like, every scenario, I'm like, okay, whether Kat uses it or not, Zach's going to use his power. And then, Morgan's going to go up. And whoa, oh my gosh, like that's going to be I couldn't wait for feeds to come back. And then we come back, everyone's chilling. I was like, oh, no way. Oh, maybe, maybe Kelley went up or something, because there's no way he did not use his power. She's like, what are you waiting for? This is the exact scenario that they created when they created the power. They said, oh, someone's going to be on the block. They're going to need to use it. This is so powerful. In what world do you not use it?
I feel like I guess I could like understand the position if like everyone was lying to him or something and saying like, you're safe, we've got you the whole week. And then maybe he feels like, oh, you know what? I actually don't want to waste it. Like it would be a waste of this power if I use it this week. But everybody this week was indicating to him that like he's not safe and that Vince or even Keanu would stay over him. So it like does not make any sense why he wouldn't decide to use it. There's no reason that he would feel safe enough to use it, or to not use it, which would be the only reason why he wouldn't use it. So it's honestly very shocking. And I feel like, I don't know. I guess like I was thinking this whole week, like, I actually don't think he's going to use it, because I did think he was in a better position than the other people on the block. But then once people were really talking and even letting him know that he's not safe, he's not completely safe, and that maybe he doesn't have certain people's votes, that would be the time to change your mind and use it. He's going to go home this week unless he wins the blockbuster. I don't know. I don't get it.
This is what I predict on the Wednesday episode. So I decided not to use my power because I told no one about it.
Aysha, I'm going to need some more yelling, please.
It's like, Does he want the HOH room to hear him in the DR? Like, what is happening? Okay, I decided not to use my power because I didn't tell Vince or Morgan about it, and Lauren doesn't know about it. And I was going to tell her, but then I changed my mind. And I just don't want to ruin, you know, the trust that I've built there. So I'm just going to hold. I'm just not going to use it.
Okay, we're gonna have to run that one again. I want your energy to be higher and your voice to be louder. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, listen, what is happening? You know, like, where are we? Have we gone somewhere? Are we in the Twilight Zone? Because common sense isn't a thing in this house. It just doesn't make any sense. Nothing makes any sense. Ava barely managed to make a good move this week and still had quite a rough HOH in terms of the tactics she used otherwise. Zach decided not to use this veto. Now, I have seen some people say, well, perhaps this is a financial decision, right? Hey, at least he gets to keep $10K, except you make at least $1,000, and I'm pretty sure it's a bit more than that nowadays, every week you stay in the game, and that includes the jury house. Meaning, if he survives maybe one more week, he's probably getting at least $10K just from being at the place. Not to mention the fact that he's constantly talking about all of the sportsy sponsorships that he wants to get from his publicity on the show. I don't know. A good way to do that would be probably using a power on TV and then making it to jury and not being a pre-jury person who went home with $10K in your pocket. Instead, get $10K from the stipend, maybe win more from the show, and be a bigger character and get all your sponsorships. This is not a financial decision. If it is, I don't want him touching my money.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's very, oh God, it's just I think like the moral of this like season is just everyone's going to do stuff that's disappointing and no one's going to make smart decisions whatsoever. I honestly like, it like honestly makes it like not fun to like watch if nobody is good. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to steamroll for sure, but I also don't want nobody to be good. I want there to at least be some people who have some sort of strategy. Like that's why we talk on this podcast in particular. That's why we talk on the Stockwatch, is to talk about the strategy and their position in the game. And like, I'm sorry, but they're giving us nothing. They're giving us like just us getting frustrated and ranting every week. It's like, I just want to be able to say someone's doing a good job. And it's like, everybody is disappointing. And people are saying, well, you know, Rachel's good, but you know, the conversation with Morgan, that was not good. Like it wasn't. First of all, she voted with the house. She voted against the house this past week. That's not good. She wasn't able to convince like anybody to vote with her except for Ashley, who then regretted it immediately. And then like this week, she's talking to Morgan. And look, I get that it's frustrating to be like told that you're being taken to jury or whatever, and then you'll be booted. I know she doesn't want that. I get it. But like the way that she went about that conversation with Morgan was just not good. It was like overly, like, I don't want to say like aggressive, but it was like overly intense. And like, even if she's feeling that way, like maybe just like let it be and be annoyed. And also like tell people that's fine that you'll go to jury. Like, even if that's not really what you want, like just whatever, who cares? Just let people say that they want to take her to jury. Like, okay, take me to jury and then I'll win out. Like, I don't see why I get that like emotionally it like sucks to hear that, but like from a game perspective, like just like ignore it. Just get over the fact that people are saying that. I'm being like, why is no one treating me with respect? And as a queen, like you need to like treat me like the winner that I am. It's like, okay, like us fans should be thinking about that and treating her like that. But the people inside the house are also playing a game, and she needs to like, I don't know. It's just, it's too much. It's too much. I love Rachel, but I just want her to do well. And I feel like that's not the way that she's going to go far in this game.
And I mean, to the point that Morgan is now saying, okay, because of that argument, I want to put up Rachel. I want to put up Ava and Ashley. I think that's what I want to do. It's just like, what was the point? I mean, I could see it if she wanted to, if she was so sure that like Morgan was going to go up and she was going to be on the path to going home. And she just wanted to stick it to her to show her like, look, you talking about jury, like you're so sure that you're going to be there. Don't start talking about, oh, you just want to take me there. But nothing at that point was solidified. And it's like, why are you acting like she can't just, I know she hasn't won a comp. She hasn't won a single comp, you guys. But she could win HOH next week. Like, what? Why are you putting yourself in a position where a person has no choice but to put you up? Creating reasons.
Yeah, also, like, it's like, I get that emotionally, Rachel doesn't want to be in jury and not win. But, like, it's frustrating to me as a viewer to have her telling people that and being like, okay, well, if you're just going to take me to jury and get me out, which, like, obviously people are going to want to get her out. They're not going to, nobody wants anybody else to be the winner. So, like, everyone's going to be like, yeah, we're going to try and get you out right away as soon as we can. Like, we want you in jury, but we want to get you out. Like, that's obviously what people are trying to do. And so then for Rachel to be like, well, then I'd prefer to just leave now. Like, to me, I'm like frustrated because I want Rachel to like play, like, and be in it to win it no matter what. Like, I like just pure sights on the target and not being like, well, like, because people are saying they want to get me out in jury, then like, I'd prefer to just go home. Like, that makes me frustrated because I want Rachel to like do well. And I'd be frustrated if literally anybody said it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not a Rachel thing. It's just, I don't like it when people are like, well, get me out before jury because I'd prefer not to sit in the jury house. Like, it's like when people try and get out of jury duty. I hate that. It's your civic duty. It's like, you want to be able to pick the winner of the season? Don't you want to be able to make this decision? I'm like, I feel like people watch these like trials and they're like, oh, the jury made such a terrible decision. These jury members, like, they're so weird and whatever. Like, because all the normal people try and get out of it. And I hate that. And you guys should try, and you want to be the one to pick the winner. You want to be the one to like represent your season. I don't know. It makes me mad. And that, yeah. Anyway, sorry. That's a separate like lawyerly rant. That's a separate lawyerly rant, but like you too. Both of you, if you guys are saying you're trying to get out of jury duty, that is wrong. It's your civic duty. I would absolutely love to be on a jury. They won't let me because I'm like a lawyer. And so they're all like, oh, no, we don't want you. But you guys should try because we need good people on juries.
I tried to get out of jury duty and I couldn't. And then I wasted 4 hours at a courthouse and they were like, oh, you can go.
You were so close.
They didn't let me do jury duty because I was a student at the time. And then,
they wouldn't let you as a student?
Yeah, well, they immediately were like, "Oh, you're in school, you have classes." I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, bye."
They're like, "You need to learn."
And then I went another time, and I stayed there the whole day, and they were like, "Wait, you're not supposed to be here."
Wait, why?
This was a mistake. We accidentally called you, and I was like, "Are you serious?"
Oh my god! So it didn't even count. Well, all I know is that I would love to be on a jury. And every time it's been, I had to take the bar exam. I was going on vacation and it had already been booked. And I had just given birth to Callan, so I couldn't go. Or I went, but then they were like, you should go home. And I was like, okay, I will. But I would love to be on a jury. Anyway, sorry.
Go get on Big Brother, I guess.
Right.
We'll see if Mickey thinks you're deserving enough.
Oh boy, great.
All right. So in this house, I've been thinking about like what is a good visual for this house, because I feel like last season a lot of what felt like was invoked was like that Mario Party image of like all of the little people on the balls and they all run off and Luigi's just standing there having done nothing, and it's like yeah, Chelsea was just that much better. Or at the very least, everyone else screwed themselves up too much. I feel like this season is like that happens, and then Luigi notices that he's standing there up all alone, and he's like, "Wah!" and he jumps off himself too.
Right? It's something in the air. It's having a ripple effect where
Everyone else did it.
Yeah, exactly. Like there are certain people in the house that I think are just being affected by having conversations with the people around them. Like I do feel like Ashley, I mean, even Rachel in a sense. I mean, I feel like Will is doing okay. He's not, I mean, he's just agreeing with everybody. That's not really, you know, an awful thing until you start getting caught. But it's just like I just don't understand how this has become the status quo. And because we are in week 5, there's nowhere to go from here. Like they are not going to be influenced by anybody but each other. So like this is the season that we have in front of us. And it's just like this isn't going to be the season we look back on and like, hey, before you go on Big Brother 32, go watch Big Brother 27. This is going to be the, oh, if you just want to put something on and be entertained at various points. But even that brings me to another point. How do y'all talk to people that only watch the episodes? Because it's a just night and day experience right now with how we view people. Like we view people on this cast compared to how people on the episodes or who only watch the episodes view people. I don't know. I feel like people that are only watch the episodes are like, Keanu's doing amazing. I want Rachel to go. I want Ashley to go. I'm like, what reality is that?
I mean, to be fair, there's no good reality. So, you know, let them have theirs, I guess, at this point. You know what I mean? It's wild. It's a wild situation. I said it last week. I'm gonna say it again. I think for the second week in a row, justifiably, I am saying I think this is the worst strategic cast we've ever seen in the history of the show. At the very least, in terms of how they are displaying their uses, their use of power, the decisions that they're making, the people they're choosing to target. There's no excuse to not use this power to save yourself. There's really not. I've already talked about the fact that, you know, maybe there's a world where you're looking at it as if it's a hidden immunity idol on Survivor, and sometimes you keep that in your pocket and you try to guess, you know, like, is this the week to use it, or is this the round to use it, I should say, on Survivor, or should I save it for next round? And that's because on Survivor, every round you're vulnerable. Every round they can choose to take you out. You can play your idol one week and they can just vote you out the next week. Same is not really true of Big Brother. He is in trouble this week because of an HOH result that, quite frankly, so to speak, was not super likely. In a lot of other HOH competitions, it was never going to be Ava or Rachel or anybody that would have put him up. And we know that the wall comp is coming up next week, very likely. And it's a very low chance that Zach or his allies don't win that and that he is completely safe the following week. And so using this power means that he is safe for theoretically at least 2 more weeks. And then if they have power next week and they manage to like use it well, which of course they won't, you know, theoretically you could extend that even further. This is such a valuable thing. I said on the premiere night, or maybe the second night when we learned about the extent of the power, this guy has a guaranteed ticket to jury, because even if he finds himself in the exact spot he finds himself now on a somewhat fluke HOH win, at least in the modern era, putting him on the block, missing out on the veto, he still has this as a backup to guard him against the one time that this happens to him. And now in future weeks, after he uses this, he has so many more opportunities to remain safe. But it's not a ticket to jury if you don't give it to the conductor.
I feel like, what if his main reason is that he was just so pissed at Ava for this that he couldn't fathom giving her the 10K? He's just like, I would rather go home than give her the 10K for lying to me.
At least I would understand it.
Right. Yeah, at least it's something.
Yeah. All right. Should we talk about some of the survey questions here? Yes. I asked the audience to rank the players from their favorite to their least favorite. Melissa, you were on fire last week.
I know.
Do
Oh
you
boy.
think you can replicate your success?
No, I see this. I feel like this week is going to be a lot different than last week. So I don't know. I feel like last week I knew it, and now I'm a bit lost. I would say like, I think maybe like Ashley is number one.
Interesting. Aysha, what do you think?
Oh, see, I'm somewhere in between Ashley, Rachel, and Will. I'll say Will.
Ashley and Will. So now historically, Rachel was the favorite in week 1. Ava has been the favorite the following 3 weeks. This week, she did, in fact, lose her top spot despite this HOH reign, but it was not to Ashley or Will. She lost it to Rachel once again. Rachel is back on top. Ava, number 2. And I can tell you as well, Ashley and then Will were 3 and 4.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And, just out of curiosity, who do you think is at the bottom?
I think it's Rylie again.
Is it a drastic percentage between the second to last person and Rylie?
It's a good, so like, I don't really know what the numbers mean, if I'm being honest, but it gives a weighted average number for like the ranking. So I guess because there's like 13 players, the closer to 13 you get, the higher percentage of whatever. Rachel is at 11.6. So that's like the highest. And then Rylie at the bottom is a 2.0. Above Rylie is Morgan with a 3.5, which I just spoiled. But above that is a 3.7. And then above that is a 5.3. So there's a bit of a shelf. There's a Rylie at the bottom, then a shelf of Mickey and Morgan, and then
Mickey's down there.
Yeah,
and then an additional shelf of like everyone else except for the top 5. So here's what I'm going to ask you, because I already gave you Mickey and Morgan down at the bottom. Who is number 5?
Okay, so you said it's Rachel, Ava, Ashley, Will.
I think it's Keanu.
Oh, that I could see Keanu. I don't know why I'm thinking. No, I think Vince and Zach have to be in that shelf that's right above the bottom. Okay, I'll go Keanu.
It is in fact Keanu. Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah. Which leaves Lauren, Katherine, Kelley, Zach, and Vince all fairly close to each other in that order.
I totally forgot about Kelley.
After that.
I forgot about her when I was making my ratings.
I did not think. When I was like, okay, Kelley, how many people are left? I was like, who's left?
Kelley is up many spots from 3rd to last week. But not super high up in terms of like a higher point average. Zach has fallen fairly significantly, at least a few spots. Mickey has fallen even further than her middling spot last week. Keanu rising pretty significantly from 5th to last to 5th place total this week. And that's most of the changes here. Katherine, much higher, actually. She was 2nd to last week, and now this week right in the middle of the pack. So some movement here for sure.
I mean, I think for Zach, definitely didn't help the temper tantrum he threw this week because it was just very, just like, it felt like the entitlement, like how dare she think she can nominate me and how dare she lie to me. But even Vince, when he finally was like having his breakdown and just like, oh, these people don't do anything. Ashley has no idea what's going on in this house. It's just like, I know you do get to a certain point in that house where you're just like, you're just living. There's no sense of awareness of like how you are perceived. But it's just like, oh my gosh, did you really not think that you were capable of sitting in the same position other people have? It's very off-putting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is I took a little. I was like, why don't I just take a little screenshot? A little screenshot of the.
That's nice.
This is what I see, guys.
Ooh. Wow, it's very
So
pretty.
colorful.
Yeah. I like this. We should show this. It's also easier to visualize, like when you like list them out. It's like I try in my mind to be like, okay, Lauren, Katherine, whatever. But like that, very nice, Taran. It's very nice.
Thank you. Coming up with new tech all the time, like screenshotting and
charts and graphs. Wow. Bar charts.
Okay, tell me this. Why, obviously people that are taking your survey are most likely keeping up with the live feeds, watching the feeds. Why is there such a drastic difference in how people like? I feel like it's the exact, with the exception of Keanu, it's flipped with, people just love Rylie. Like if they only watch the episodes and aren't keeping up.
I mean, the episodes, I think, show a different version of Rylie than
the romantic,
the one we see.
True. It's just mind-boggling, but such is life.
Yeah.
Such
All
is
right, so that is the favorite player rankings for the week. I asked the audience to rate the episodes this week. Last week, they were a 6.6. This week, down to a 5.7. It's still above average, theoretically. Not too bad.
I mean, I think Ashley's vote mishap helped skew that. I feel like it would have been lower.
Very good. I thought last night's episode was pretty decent as well.
Mm-hmm.
I asked the audience to rate the feeds this week. Last week, they were a 6.2. This week, a 6.4. So a slight increase for the feeds this week. That is very interesting.
Surprised by that. Yeah.
And I did forget
find them as more interesting.
Yes, I did forget to compare it to previous seasons as well. Big Brother 26 last year had a 7.1 for the episodes. So pretty much a higher bit in there. A 5.7 for Big Brother 25. So the exact same rating, actually. And then a 7.1 for the episodes for Big Brother 24. So Big Brother 24 and 26 were doing well with the episodes this in week 5 of their respective seasons. In season 24, a 7.0 for the feeds. In season 25, a 7.1. In season 26, a 7.2. So worst week 5 of the last, 4 years at a 6.4.
I think it didn't help having the feed outages for these punishments.
True.
That probably attributed to a lot of it.
Definitely. Yeah. And then, of course, rate the season as a whole so far. Last week, it was a 5.3. This week, a 5.6. So Ava's HOH did bump it up. We're kind of, we're going up a little bit, up back on an upward trajectory. Now, compared to last year, it was a 7.5. Season 25 was a 7.3. Season 24 was a 7.2. So the 5.6 is, again, significantly worse than the last 3 seasons prior. So not doing great, Big Brother 27 so far.
Not doing great.
No. I also asked the audience to rate Ava's HOH reign. Now, it's important to note that Mickey's HOH reign was a 2.0. Lauren's was a 2.5. Jimmy's was a 3.6. And Vince's was a 2.7. So we are all down in the 2s and 1, 3. What do we think Ava's got to?
I think people enjoyed the noms. It may not be just like thinking about her as an HOH and like using this to help get herself further. So I think that the noms are going to skew it towards a 5.
I was thinking the same because I think what you said about being like Jessica Milagros's HOH or like reminiscent of that was very, very accurate because I do think that like the noms are good, but I don't think Ava has necessarily like played the week as well as she could have.
Well, you guys were thinking along the same lines as me, but I looked at this number and said, oh boy, because it's a 7.5 from the audience.
That's wrong. I just think that's wrong. Like, I mean, come on, a 7 point, like that would be like a really great HOH. Like,
I think they're rating
like
on a curve.
It's gotta be a curve because like, to me, this HOH is like fun noms. Like, sure, she didn't nominate an ally, I guess, but like,
that's the status quo.
That's like, this is not okay. That's I disagree. Wrong.
And she almost did, according to the episode.
I know.
Yeah.
Tucker last year got a 6.5 for his week 5 HOH reign. And Jared in Big Brother 25 got a 3.1 for his. So best week 5 HOH reign in the last couple of years. I asked if Katherine made the right decision with the veto to not use it. 81% of the audience said yes. Then I asked the audience.
Wait, I disagree.
Oh, interesting.
I think that she should have used it. I think that like, especially if Ava's saying like that Riley's not the renom, like then she should have used it to gain some favor or like make a move in the game. And put herself out there. I mean, she's complaining that no one treats her as like a real player and that like they don't talk game with her. This would be the exact moment to get people to talk game with her.
Who do you think she should have saved?
I think she probably should have saved Zach, honestly. Like, I think that could have been like something.
Well, Zach is her target.
Yeah.
Well, I'm saying like I think that could have been good for her. I don't think that she would make that move and she didn't. But I think that like trying to gain favor, I mean, it could have been anyone, honestly. Any of them could have been fine. I think she should have tried to like gain favor with whoever or like spoken with each of them, seen what they're willing to offer. Like you do something. Like I just feel like keeping it the same is just kind of like, okay, cool. No one's going to remember this. Like no one's going to be like, I owe her anything aside from like, I don't know, nobody really. Maybe Morgan, if she thought that like she was going to be the renom and like, oh, because Katherine didn't do it. But I don't believe that Morgan would think that Katherine did it for her. Like, so I think that like, I think she should have done something. I think she should have, if she wants to be a player in the game, she needs to make some moves. And I think this would have been the perfect week, especially if Ava was saying, I'm not going to put up your ally. Like she wasn't going to put up Rylie. So what would be the harm in taking her? Like, it's not like Katherine's working with anybody at this point. Like Katherine feels like she's an outsider. This is a way in and she should have used it.
Yeah. But I don't really disagree. Actually, I feel like, it may, should she have used it? That's a tough question, but I definitely think she should have explored it a little more, had more conversations with Vince, with Zach, with Keanu, and maybe even more openly just explored it with Ava. Given that Ava basically gave the go ahead, right. I talked about this is why it might happen, that you then can sort of get a deal from somebody. Now, I think part of the problem for Katherine is that she feels good with all three of them and having to choose one of them it would potentially like be awkward. But I don't think that's a super big problem, especially given that Morgan is the replacement nominee and Morgan is probably your biggest threat in the game right now. She's probably the person coming for you the most. Luckily for Katherine, Morgan got in a fight with Rachel, and so maybe a bit disarmed at this point. But yeah, I think there's more she could have done, but ultimately I don't hate the decision to not use it either. Really, I don't know if she needed to win it in the first place. I am always the person who says you probably should be winning HOHs, but don't always need to be winning vetoes. And Katherine definitely didn't need to win this one, although I understand why for her personal sense of worth in the game, she felt like she needed to.
I think maybe also like, because Keanu was saying like, oh, I would use the veto on Vince or whatever, that maybe like she could make a deal with Vince and then also like please Keanu at the same time by being like, okay, I'm going to use it on Vince. Like, here we go. The two of you are happy with me. Like, now, like, I'm going to do this thing for you guys sort of thing. Like, and then that gets two people on her side, or at least feeling like maybe they owe her something. I don't know if they would actually do anything, but at least she could try. I just feel like she didn't. It's just, you can't complain about not being considered a player and then not play. Like, there's a reason that people think that you're not playing, because you're not.
But don't y'all know that she has this big, strong man protecting her and making sure that nothing happens to her?
Always.
So why does she need to play?
She doesn't need it. She doesn't need anything.
Well, I did ask the audience, did Zach make the right decision with his veto? And I will tell you, there are people that said yes.
Wow. Trolls.
2% of the people. 98% of the audience, which is, I'm reasonably certain, the highest percentage of any poll I've had in the history of the Stockwatch, said no.
It just makes no sense. Why would you want to be on the block? Why would you be okay with just having a chance at getting off the block? Like, there's no way you're that confident when you have won one thing on day one. You found a power in the dark, but it's like, why would you chance it? I just feel like this house is too chaotic. He's not in good with everybody. He knows that. Like, he knows that he is not at the like the Lauren or Vince level with everyone in the house. So if that's the case, don't stay on the block. It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, I think it says a lot about this cast, right? Like, there were roughly 3,000 people that answered that question in the survey. And 2% of them, which is roughly 60 of those people, said yes. Meaning, Zach is one of the 2%. Right? Like, casting managed to find one of the 2% of people that genuinely thinks that he should not use the power in this situation. And that is both a skill and something to be shamed.
Right. He was just crying on the feeds as we speak. And I'm like, what are those tears for? Because you didn't use the power, or because you're realizing that whatever you initially heard may have been lies, that people are considering voting you out? Like, what are you sad about? Because this is your own doing.
I can't with it. I asked the audience who they wanted to be evicted this week. 4% said Keanu. I imagine 2 of those percent were from the previous poll. 45% said Vince. And 51% said Zach. So not an overwhelming majority. Listen, I am of the camp that Zach must go. He simply must. You have to have some kind of punishment.
Yes.
For a decision like this. Vinny can hang out in his egg suit all day long. Not only that, but Vince has given us much more entertainment than Zach has. For not using this, Zach must go. He is the most likely person to go right now. And I think that is the correct state of the universe, which means that he won't go this week based on current Big Brother 27 history.
The moment he lost the veto, he should have been thinking, okay, what should I say when I use this power? How should I present it to people? How should like it should have been a given. I'm sure he was debating it from the moment that of course we don't know because he never brought it up to anybody, but he probably was going back and forth about if it'd be good for him, if it not, is he most likely going to stay if he doesn't use it? But it's like, in no world do you want people all week or for 2 days, 3 days, whatever, saying, oh, okay, in a scenario that it is Zach and Keanu, Keanu, or oh, it is Zach and Vince. Who should we vote? You've been in these conversations for the past 5 weeks. Like, you know how it happens. It just
we need a moment with Julie where she goes, sorry, I need to do this, with Taran's book.
We need that.
yeah.
Where in chapter, hold on, let me just double check the chapters. In chapter probably 5 or something, he demonstrates why you always use the veto on yourself.
Well,
by telling the story of one Marcellus Reynolds.
You should put the words of your book on Reddit, and then maybe some people on this cast would have seen it.
I'll just feed it to ChatGPT and we'll all be good. All right. So that's the survey. Should we rate the players?
Yes.
Do it.
Let's do it. Okay, here we go. This is the portion of the podcast where we rate the players from 1 to 10 based on how well we think they are doing in the game. So far, previously on Big Brother, Stockwatch, RHAP Roundtable, rating the players. There have been more ones this season than I'm reasonably certain any other season ever in the history of the Stockwatch.
We did give a lot to Jag, didn't we?
He got back-to-back ones. That is true. But that's still, I don't think, listen, I can do a quick fact check on myself here. I'm reasonably certain in the entirety of Big Brother 25, we had fewer ones than the entirety of this season within the first 4 weeks. But I could be wrong. Maybe my memory is
no, I think you're probably right. There's a lot of ones on the board, even just from last week.
From last week alone, yeah.
We did actually give quite a lot of ones in Big Brother 25. He had, oh my God, it wasn't back-to-back ones. It was 3 weeks in a row.
That's insane.
Oh boy.
That man won the season.
And
the
he won.
winner.
Good for him.
But hey, in the first 3 weeks, scenario 1 in sight. Okay, so my guess is wrong. We do not currently have more ones, but we may be on the way. Certainly a high consistency of ones that we have so far in the season. There has been at least one person with some ones in every week except for week 2, and I will spoil something for you that will not stop this week. So let's start with Ashley, because hey, Zach is at the very end, and we'll save him for last. But we'll start with Ashley this week, who, unfortunately for her, very nearly went on the block for no particular reason. Fortunately for her, did not end up going up on the block. Her game is like still kind of all over the place, I would say. I think she does have some of the better reads in the game. I think that she is somebody that people should listen to more, but they don't. She does continue to be a bit messy here and there. The fact that she was hoping to keep Vince over Zach briefly was kind of wild. She's now back on the other side, but then again switched when she talked to Mickey last night and keeps going back and forth. She keeps pissing Mickey off. And then trying to recover. It's a whole big mess. She's definitely somebody that is high on the list of people that would be nominated. And so I think ultimately this was a good week for her. Mm-hmm. But I'm definitely worried moving forward. I think overall I would give Ashley, I'd go up to a 5 for Ashley. I think I would.
Yeah, I would as well. I feel like the week was a bit rocky with Ava trying to nominate her, and
she got away with the wild vote.
Yeah, the vote. Like, it was kind of like a rough start, but I do think that, like, I mean, she's not on the block. So that's a good sign. And I feel like, you know, the fact that people were protecting her is a good thing. It shows that she has like some good relationships in the house. So yeah, I think a 5 is fine.
Yeah, I agree. I also put her as a 5. I think that Ashley has finally gotten to a place where she cannot trust Mickey, which is good because Mickey hasn't trusted her for a while. And it's just kind of, she called her minion. Like, that is just so ridiculous. So I think it's good that she has opened her eyes to Mickey. And I do think it is good that Rachel is now freed up from spending a lot of her time with Jimmy and now is spending a lot of time with Ashley. And I feel like Ashley being transparent with a lot of information that she is telling Rachel is good. So even though she was almost on the block and her getting off the block wasn't completely her doing, it still is a situation where I feel like a lot of people have kind of crept up on other people's priority list. So even though Ashley may be an ever like a present name in their mind, there are still other people that they do want to target. So I think it's just so easy. It's like, oh, that everybody's targeting Ashley. So of course we should be targeting Ashley. Don't you remember? She took a long shower. She's always getting on my nerves, even though I was able to have a 2-hour conversation with her earlier and it was fine. But she's still so annoying. And I really do like her read on the house. I think she is well aware of what is like who is prioritizing who, and that's asking a lot of this house. So I think she's earned herself this 5.
All right. Well, the audience gave Ashley
a 5.
A 5 as well. So it's going to be 5s for Ashley. Let's move on to Ava. Melissa, if you might recall back in the day when Jessica Milagros won HOH and nominated Jack and Jackson, controversially, she became one of the highest grossing stock picks in the history of the Stockwatch. And there was a disagreement about what that meant for the future of her game. So I'm very curious, where do we fall on Ava this week, Melissa?
It's a good question because like I do like the noms. I think they're exciting. I don't think she like went about it in the right way. I think in particular, like the Zach one where she's told Zach he was good and then was like, actually, you're not, without even warning him, really. She kind of just nominated him, which I feel like that's not good. And then I did not like how she said, like, I'm not going to talk with anyone, but then did talk with, you know, Will and Mickey. It's like that makes you think, oh, okay, so that's her team and she's not going to look to any of us as a team member. She's not going to ask us for our advice or want to talk to us about like strategy. So I feel like it really like puts like a big just highlight on the fact that like these are the people Ava is working with. She's not working with me. And then she goes and nominates. I mean, I love the fact that she nominated 3 like strong guys or whatever, but that is concerning, you know, moving forward. I mean, so I guess it's less concerning because it was going to be a big concern if 2 of them came off the block and then she was like, oh no, I have to nominate more people and these guys are going to come after me. But they're still on the block. So yeah, I guess I would give her a 6. I just feel like there are pros and cons. I don't think I think she should have been using this week to like get into a really solid alliance. And I don't necessarily feel like she did that. So yeah, I would be worried for her moving forward. I know that now there are some people who are targeting her, whereas before I felt like nobody was targeting her. I don't know if she needed to win this. So yeah.
Yeah. So I am in agreement with the 6 for Ava, only because the main person who is being vocal about wanting to target her is Zach, who needs to go this week. If Zach goes, I think that someone like Vince isn't going to waste a spot on, he's going to see it as wasting a spot because I think Ava managed to escape this HOH reign and still be seen as non-threatening. No one they all think that she was influenced by either Mickey or Rachel. They didn't think that she was able to make this move on her own. When these noms are her decision. Yeah, she was influenced to not do Ashley, but I don't think that she is in a position where she's automatically on the block next week, depending on who gets HOH. And she nominated 3 people that are threats. It's a big ask this season, but she did it. She didn't say, well, let's just go ahead and do Kelley and let me do Will. Will, I don't want you to go home, but I just got to do it. At least she sparked the conversation on, hey, who are you actually with? They stopped all this like run around just because of these, at least with the nominations of Vince and Zach. So because she made, nominees that were on the opposite side of the house from her, I think that, that's why she can be a 6, and because I think she can come out of this unscathed. But a 6 is where I'm going to peak today.
All right. Well, the audience does agree with the two of you. They gave Ava a 6 as well, down from the 7 last week. Now, last week, I gave Ava a 5. And I will tell you, there was a brief moment in time where I was like, look at me ahead of the curve. Because Ava started going wild at the end of that week. Then she won HOH and, did some things right. And I was like, okay, Ava, we're back a little bit. But then she also was doing some things wrong. And to be honest, quite frankly, in my opinion, this has not been a very well-run HOH. Now, in comparison to all of the previous HOHs, it looks like a godsend. It looks like she's a genius. But you have to take account for the fact that Mickey last week got 1s from the panel as the HOH. And then the week before that, Lauren got 3s from the panel for her HOH. And the week before that, Jimmy got 3s primarily from the panel for his HOH. And the week before that, Vince got 1s primarily from the panel for his HOH. So when I say that this HOH is significantly better than any other HOH this season, I mean that, and can still give her a 5 because it still was not very well run. The lack of one-on-ones made it clear to everyone in the house that she has no interest in working with them. She only has an interest in working with the people she talks to, primarily Mickey and Will, and Ashley to some degree. On top of that, she didn't really do much with her power. She was perfectly happy to have the veto be used despite disastrous potential consequences. Granted, she couldn't know the full extent of that. I also do think, when we talked about this a little bit, and it's hard to criticize when it's still head over heels above anything else that has happened this season, but the inclusion of Keanu on the block next to Zach or Vinny could be not disastrous in the, again, previous HOH's sense, but certainly not ideal for Keanu to be the one to leave here. Keanu has no issue with Ava, where Zach and Vince do. Morgan also does. A block that had Zach, Vince, and Morgan was the ideal block scenario for her. Granted, we know that that would probably never have happened. Zach probably would have used the veto on himself, although at that point, maybe Lauren goes up. Maybe he wouldn't have. Who knows why he didn't use it himself. But there's actually just too great a chance that Keanu is voted out over Vince if Zach wins the blockbuster. And that, again, not a terrible HOH. It's a perfectly fine one, but it's not the kill shot she really needs going into the following week. And so, again, I feel very bad. I don't want to be negative about Ava's HOH when I want to, again, make this clear. There's a reason the 5 is green right now. Because the curve is saying that a 5 is good. But there are things to criticize if we take a broader perspective. Ultimately, though, very pleased with Ava's HOH. So it will be a 5 for me, though. All right, let's move on to Katherine. Aysha, what are your thoughts on Katherine?
Yeah. So, I mean, to Melissa's point earlier, I feel like Kat not using the veto was great for us as viewers. Did zero for her as a player. She continues to just be in Riley's shadow. Just Rylie, whatever conversations you have, make sure he's like, I got you. And she's not even asking him to, of course. He's the one saying, I'm gonna look out for you. So therefore, she's just hanging out in the house, like as a bystander. She has as much input into the game as we do. And so I just feel like with her winning, she could have used that to build relationships or even establish something by not using it, saying like, hey, I think Ava would put you up, so that therefore I'm not going to use it. But her just not using it, just going about her ways, just, had a couple conversations, with Ava, who was okay with her using it and her opting out. I think I'm going to give her a 2.
A 2 from Aysha. The audience is significantly higher on Katherine. They gave her a 5.
Because she won the veto, period, or?
I honestly couldn't tell you. Because I agree with you, Aysha. I think that this was a bad week for Katherine. I think that winning this veto was kind of a net negative. I think that it put a bigger target on the pair of her and Rylie. Now, what I will say is that the fact that she won the veto could make me feel better about their chances as a duo showmance to Jackson and Holly their way to the end. But this was the Yankee swap veto.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty luck based. So she certainly could be good at competitions. This was one of, I think this was actually her first veto competition that she's even played in. But it's not giving me confidence in her competition ability as much as it is the house, which I think is bad. So on top of that, there are a couple other things I don't like about Katherine's position here. Again, she didn't use the veto to get further leverage anywhere in the game. She did a little bit. She talked to Ava, but Ava had to pull her up to have the conversation with her. She did bond with Ava. I like that connection. The problem is Ava has a bunch of friends already and not a lot of sway outside of this one HOH. If Ava wins a bunch more HOHs, that's a valuable connection. But if she doesn't, then it's not as much. On top of that, she currently trusts Vince way too much. She currently undervalues Keanu way too much, and I think is targeting Zach maybe fairly appropriately. Like Zach is probably the best target of the 3, but the fact that she would like to vote Keanu out over Vince, I think, is a pretty significant mistake. I think the second Keanu leaves, the showmance is in significant danger. And so I do not like the strategic decisions she's making. I do not like that she won this veto. I don't like that she didn't use the veto or talk with more people about the veto. I'm going to go back down to a 3.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with my 3 as well. I think, like I said earlier, she should have used the veto to gain any sort of favor in the house. I think I can see, I guess, the argument for why maybe she decided to win it when she didn't necessarily have to is because she probably thought that Rylie would be in danger, or maybe her. And so just to ensure that either of them did not get put up, the safest thing to do is to hold the veto. But then when Ava tells her, I'm not going to, or when she finds out, however she finds out, could be that her and Rylie are not in danger this week, or that Morgan is the target or whatever, then that should be the time when you're like, okay, now I'm going to see what I can do, especially when Ava's saying that she doesn't care whether she uses it or not. So it's not like, oh, please keep it the same. Please keep it the same. She said she didn't care. So that wouldn't hurt her relationship with Ava to use it. So yeah, I think she could have done more this week with this. And it's just kind of disappointing.
All right. Well, let's move on then to Keanu, who got a 4 from the audience last week. And this week got another 4 from the audience. I did give Keanu a 4 last week. I did. But he wasn't on the block last week. I did feel like there was a potential upward trajectory for Keanu. I still think that's actually the case. I think that Keanu has only continued to improve his position over time, having won those competitions. The problem is that despite this being perhaps his best week socially and strategically in the game where he's placed, it is also the week he is in the most amount of danger come time to rate because he's still on the block. And if he stays on the block against Vinny, the votes are looking very sketchy. We haven't really talked much about votes because, quite frankly, I don't think there's much point in talking about the votes right now. They pretty heavily rely on where Mickey goes. And Mickey is back and forth and back and forth, and it's only Monday, and it seems fairly arbitrary when she moves back and forth. What I will say is Kelley did ask Rylie where he was at and said that she was willing to vote where he voted. We know that Rylie was looking to vote for Vinny to stay over Keanu. And so if Kelley really did go along with that, Rylie, Katherine, and Kelley are a large enough block to swing that vote regardless of what Mickey does. So now Kelley did promise Keanu that she would vote to keep him over Vinny. So there's potentially a bit of a conflict there. But all of this to say, the vote between Keanu and Vinny is very tight. The vote between Keanu and Zach is better, but not guaranteed either, considering that Mickey has in the past been trying to push to keep Zach. I think that is a much harder sell from Mickey trying to make that happen, because I do think that Rylie, Katherine, and Kelley would be all on the other side of that particular vote. But again, just the fact that he's in this much danger in the first place is not great. And ultimately, when I say he's on the rise, it's not like he's, killing it by any means. He's not like running the house or anything. I have to give him a 3 considering the amount of danger he's in, and also the amount that he seemed to be fully willing to keep himself on the block because of an overconfidence of having the votes, and the fact that he was the one who got himself into hotter water when he was the one trash talking Mickey about temperature checking him for days, and then she finally found out and then tried to flip the vote on him. Like, that's all self-inflicted. He's still Keanu.
Yeah. I agree. He's gonna stay at 3 for me. But I think that there is a huge potential that if he stays this week, he could go up. I think honestly, I would probably buy Keanu because I just feel like he had some really good conversations. I think the fact that it's even a discussion, like, oh, should we send Vinny or Zach or Keanu? Like, when a few weeks ago it would have been like, yeah, duh, we're sending Keanu home. I think that's it points to the hard work that he's been doing. I still think that a lot of his reads are very wrong. And I still think that he gets, like you said, himself into these bad situations sometimes. But I could see a world where Keanu really steps it up and people start really wanting to work with him. So I also think he has a good chance to win the Blockbuster. He's been winning a bunch of competitions. So, it's possible that he sticks around. So a 3 is because he's on the block this week, but I do think he has potential to go up.
It'd be pretty funny if the week Keanu gets evicted is his second highest Stockwatch rating week of the season.
Yeah.
But it also weirdly makes sense.
Yeah, I was back and forth on Keanu. Yeah, like you said, Taran, this has been his best week socially, and I feel like he is able to have conversations with people, although, the reads are for the most part incorrect. It's still establishing some rapport to where they're just not like, oh, I despise Keanu, we got to put him up, and we got to get him out of here. I think he's given enough time. I can't remember what podcast you said it on, Taran, where you're like, he's a typical first or second boot, the way the house dynamics were. And now what do you do with him? The fact that he's lasted this long. And so because I think he's integrating himself a little bit more socially, he's enjoying the punishment. He said it's making him feel like he's adding to the house. People are like, oh, I actually did want some of those little croissant weenie things. What are they called?
Pigs in a blanket.
Pigs in a blanket.
Yeah,
And so
croissant weenie things is the scientific term.
yes. And so I think that's helping him kind of just like settle in, like become part of the house as opposed to this huge house target that everybody just wants to keep going after. And I don't know. I feel like a Keanu HOH is on the horizon. I think, do I think it will go well? Probably not. But if he stays in this house and he has one, I think that could help just cement some things, like at least cement something outside of the showmance. So I was back and forth between a 2 and a 3 because he's on the block and it's seeming like, okay, he's in a lot of people are considering voting him out, but I still think there's a chance. And I think that he hasn't given up, which is great. So I'm going to also agree on the 3.
All right. Let's move on then to Kelley. Keanu and Kelley. Kelley has consistently, over the last 4 weeks, gotten 1, 2, 1, 2. So can she have her best week yet? If it's up to me, yes. I think this is the first week she's not on the block at all. So that's something. What I will say is that she's not recovering as well as Keanu. I think that's honestly primarily because her competition wins are seen as less valuable than Keanu's. She has spent less time off the block than he has, and I think also is less active in the game as he is. What I will say is that I think she actually has better reads than Keanu does. Not that that's hard, but I think she has a better sense of who to trust and who to work with. But like Keanu runs into the issue of kind of outstaying her welcome. Nobody wants her there in the same way that nobody really wants Keanu there on a personal level. People like Rylie and Katherine, who she feels the closest to because they are the only people who haven't really betrayed her in any significant way, are like, she's so annoying. We don't want to have to spend time with her. And so that's obviously a pretty significant problem, short term, long term, etc. She does have a couple people that are like, Kelley's not that bad. She's not that bad. And so that's decent. That's decent. But it's a long and steep hill she needs to climb. So for me, I am going to give her a 3 this week.
Yeah, 3 for me as well. She's not on the block, which is good. But yeah, I don't know where she goes from here necessarily. But I guess it's a good thing that we're all like, oh yeah, Kelley's still in the house, because maybe that's how the people in the house are thinking as well. And if she's not the target, then I guess that's good. And maybe she can gain some allies next week. I guess we'll see. But yeah, I do think it was a much better week for her because she's not on the block. So that's great for her. So willing to go up.
Yeah, I'm also going to give her a 3, but it's a very different 3 than Keanu. Yeah, when I was writing out my list of people, I was like, oh, let me just write down the cast and do my ratings beforehand. And I was like, what? I'm missing someone. And it was Kelley. And it's, it's odd when you're not on the block, then you're just you're not having any real impact on the house. There are plenty of people in the house who are making their voices heard and they're not on the block. And so it's really she has just faded into the house, but not really. She's still behaving. I feel like this being her first week not on the block, she doesn't know how to not be on the block. So it's just when you're on the block, people see you a certain way. They may not want to talk to you at all times. There's a certain air of, oh, this person is on the block. And so she's still treating her own self like she's on the block, which when she is on the block, she's not campaigning. So she's just kind of hey, I'm just kind of hanging out. I'll be around, I'll chit chat. Nothing that's going to make a really, real impact. But hey, I'm here. And so, yeah. And I think it does work for her. The fact that people see her comp wins as not as, fancy as a veto or an HOH, but I don't think it's going to stop anyone from just throwing her up as a third nominee moving forward. Cause it's there's no consequences to putting her up. So, but I'm giving her 3 because she's not on the block. She didn't volunteer. So that would have been a 2.
Yeah, I do. I just think that she needs to. I think she did try to pivot away from Vince when she found out that Vince was not trustworthy, but she still spends a lot of time with Vince. She also, the people that she pivoted to were primarily Rylie and Katherine, who don't value her at all either. She still isn't able to recognize when people don't value her or seem to like her presence. And that is kind of like sad that is happening. But you know, I think that she should be spending more time with people like Ava, who I think does kind of value her presence. She was really appreciative of the cookie last night, and if she actually pivoted strategically in that direction, she has been bonding more with Rachel. But strategically, she is saying to Keanu, "Yeah, I'd put Rachel up." He's like, "Oh, I thought you were like bonding with Rachel." She's like, "I have been." So I think she'd understand. Like, okay, like this is kind of the problem. Yes, 3s for Kelley. The audience, though, gave her a 4 this week,
Mm-hmm.
up from their 3 last week. Let's move on to Lauren. Melissa, how do you feel about Lauren?
Oh gosh. I don't even know, honestly. I just feel like she's not doing anything. And maybe she is, but I just am not watching any of her conversations just because it doesn't matter. But I think Lauren's in a bad spot this week because both Vince and Zach are up and could go home. And it's interesting that it seems like she's choosing Vince over Zach, whereas I feel like Zach is a better ally to her than Vince is. And maybe I'm wrong on that, but it feels to me that like Zach is maybe appreciates her as an ally more than Vince does. And so I think that either way, I mean, I guess unless Keanu leaves, like Lauren kind of loses this week. So yeah, I think this is the worst week for her. Yes, she's not on the block, but it's just, I don't think, I think it's a worse week for her. I think I have to go down to a 3.
All right.
Yeah, I think Lauren's a tough one because, yeah, you're right, Melissa. I'm the same way. Like, I'm probably changing to the other feed if she's having a conversation. So I think it worked. I think it has worked for her this week that she hasn't been one of the main voices making a fuss of these noms. I mean, I know that's her personality, but like more people are like, oh my gosh, Morgan is over here trying to do the absolute most. And even though these are like 2 people who really would make an impact, like she's losing an ally, like you said, if Keanu doesn't go home. So, but it's tough because I still feel like there are many people in this house who have made themselves a target where, like, even if she's on the block with them, like she may be an easy nom for somebody. But I think that unless it was the right situation where they're just like, oh, we don't like these people are pawns, we're actually going after Lauren. I think that she could stay against a lot of these people because they are a bigger threat, even with an HOH, which how she managed to do that by making it seem like being an HOH was too big of a job for her alone. So it actually could work in her favor if Zach leaves, because then they won't be seeing Zach and Lauren, especially with what a conversation earlier today with Zach and Rylie, where they're relating on being, part of showmances, even though Zach is not. I think I don't know. I think it worked. It will help her because they are seeing it as a Lauren, Zach, and Keanu, or Lauren, Zach, and Vince situation. So I'm actually going to give her a 4 just because of her positioning in the house, but it's not necessarily like her doing.
Well, the audience does agree with you. They gave her a 4 as well. which brings it to me. And honestly, I think a 4 is kind of fine for Lauren. I don't think this week is as bad for her as it should be, mostly because if Keanu goes, that's kind of fine. If Vince goes, that's kind of fine because it opens her up in ways that I think could be significant. Because if Vince goes, I think her relationship with players like Ava and maybe even like I think the relationship with Will is broken, but her relationship with players like Ava and maybe Katherine can start to blossom a bit more. If Zach goes, that's probably the worst for her, weirdly, but at the same time, it does prevent her from being targeted by her own allies, which is nice. So that's all kind of fine, although still packaged in like a not great place. Of course, it's a 4, but there's a reason she wasn't nominated this week. There's a reason she probably would have been the safest person on the block if she was. She is just generally very likable, and I think that in a cast full of players that are all really terrible, being really likable is going to be a good thing moving forward. So I think a 4 is fine for me. All right, let's move on to Mickey. Aysha, how do you feel about Mickey?
All right, let me go ahead and give out my first one. Just like, how did you manage to just carry forward this HOH-itis that developed last week? Like, I was just beside myself seeing the conversation between her and Ashley. Just like, I'll let you know what I decide. I got some votes. They're going to do whatever I want. And I'll let you know. I will let you know what I decide. I'll go back and forth. I'll consider everything, you know. It's just like, why are you like acting as if everyone isn't playing their own game? I don't know where she created this like central version of herself where people are playing for her best interest. And I mean, I think it formed last week with the HOH and just thinking like, okay, you know, I can keep this feeling about me going forward. It feels good. And I love that people are clocking it. I'm glad, like I said earlier, I'm glad that Ashley has recognized she can't trust Mickey. I'm glad that Rachel is aware. And even, you know, Morgan has acknowledged that she can't, like, doesn't want to talk game with Mickey, even though Mickey has even said, like, okay, she's starting to feel that way about Morgan too. I think that's big for Morgan to have recognized that, you know, Mickey's doing the most. Rylie even said Mickey's doing the absolute most. And so it's just like, I don't think there is a single person that's not recognizing that Mickey is a person that could be put up. And how have you managed to do so much damage and you're not on the block or HOH? It's like she's just like making such a negative impact this week on her game when it could be, hey, you come off of being HOH, you reintegrate, you continue to get information, you build relationships. And she's like, no, I'm just going to continue how I was feeling. And just see where that takes me. I'm just going to tell people stuff. And, you know, it feels great to have this much power. Just like, I guess it does feel great to just have this like pseudo power, even if it's not real. So I don't know if it's going to be all the way up into the vote that she recognizes like that's not the case, or if that's just something that she's speaking so much that she's hoping it catches on and she can continue to feel as important as she did last week as HOH. So I just think her game, it's only a matter of time that she's going to be on the block in the next couple of weeks.
All right. Well, the audience gave her 3 last week. They gave her 3 again. And I will say, I am tempted. I am tempted to go to a 1 with you, Aysha, because there's a lot that I don't like that she's doing. But she did talk Ava out of nominating Ashley, which I think is certainly a good thing. And for as much as she has wavered back and forth on Keanu versus, you know, Zach versus Vince versus all of that, ultimately, I do think it's to her benefit, or at least was to her benefit, to take Keanu out of the game. And you know, I mean, listen, it's bad. It's very bad. Is it a 1 bad? Is it as bad as her last week? Is it as bad as what Zach's doing right now? I don't think so. She is. What I will say is, this is not just a carryover from last week. Like, oh, she did really bad last week, and so her game is just still bad. No, she's actively still making bad choices left and right. And I think she's actively still tanking her game. It's just not as bad as last week, so I will give her a 2.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that and give her a 2 as well, mainly because I do think that she does have influence over the house, and Ava in particular, obviously, because she was able to keep Ashley off the block. And I think that that's important. Like, I think we are seeing her make bad choices and everything, but if she still has influence over the house, then I guess, like, oh well. So I think we'll just have to see what happens next week, and like what the decision ends up being this week. But yeah, I think the fact that she has such influence, like, is significant. But I still don't think she's doing all that great. So yeah.
Yeah, convincing Ava felt like 1 step forward, and then everything else she's doing is 10 steps back.
For sure.
Yeah. All right, let's move on then to Morgan, who will kick off the ratings here from the audience with a 2. 2 from the audience. And I gotta say, I feel like I'm not that far off. I mean, if Zach had used that veto, I was ready. I was ready with the 1. She's not on the block. She would have been on the block. She's not on the block. She's doing a lot. She's doing a lot that's very bad. She has actively tanked her game, similar to Mickey, just in different ways, ever since the previous week. And I think you all have understood where all of this is at this point. You know that she was very close to leaving. You know that she's a big target right now. You know that she is now an enemy of Rachel. It's all kinds of things. It's going to be a 2 for Morgan. But hey, there's a wall comp coming up.
Ooh. Yeah, 2 for me as well. Just not good. Her and Mickey are not making good decisions right now. And the conversation with Rachel, like, while I will say that, like, I think she tried in the conversation with Rachel to kind of like cover it up and tone it down and be like, oh, actually, no, I just meant, like, I want to make it to jury, you know, that sort of stuff. Like, okay, that's good. But the fact that she got into it with Rachel is not good. And the fact that she's probably losing an ally this week is not good. And all her, like, conversations just weren't good or helpful for her. So yeah, it's a 2 for me as well.
You know, when the feeds came back from the veto ceremony, and the first thing I see is Keanu telling Vince, like, either way it goes, we're good. I was like, it's Morgan. Morgan's on the block. She's going home.
Yeah.
And it was just that just made sense, right? And so I think it's one of those things where once people just start saying your name and then start finding reasons to want you out, and what you're focused on is this unrequited love and just not wanting him to spend so much time with Lauren, and him having to explicitly tell you, I'm a one woman kind of girl. I decided to focus on Lauren, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's just like, I feel like, I mean, if it wasn't Zach, it may have been another, like, attractive guy in his role that was there. But I just feel like that's really clouded a lot of her judgments and allegiances. And if she didn't have this, I feel like she could have just gone all in on the other side of the house and been seen as loyal and had been seen as, oh, your comp is coming. Like, we know that you could be a physical threat, and we know, like, we can rely on you. But she's just kind of stretched herself too thin. Now she's at odds with Rachel. Now she can't trust Mickey with information. And I'm going to have to stick with Mari. And then once you give 1-1, you got to give another one. You can't just go out there giving 1-1.
The back-to-back ones again.
More ones.
All right, let's move on then to Rachel. I believe start with Rachel here. So Rachel, last week I gave Rachel a 4. Things were not looking super great for Rachel coming into this week. Ava manages to pull out this HOH. Very good for Rachel. What I will say is not good for Rachel is the fact that Keanu might be the one that leaves this week. That would be pretty bad for Rachel. Taking out one of Zach or Vince would be ideal. Taking out specifically Vince would be even more ideal. But Vince seems like the least likely person to leave at the moment. On top of that, she has gained some additional enemies this week in Morgan and Mickey. At least one of those was self-inflicted. So not amazing. Not amazing this week for Rachel. I still do not love her position. Her influence over Ava continues to not be as strong as it should be. Not as strong as Will or Mickey's, seemingly. And even her influence over Ashley is tenuous at best because Ashley really just does her own thing. And so I am going to, I'm going to give, I gave Ashley a 5. I got to stick with my 4 for Rachel.
Yeah, same. I'm going to stick with my 4 for Rachel because I just feel like this week was not necessarily bad for Rachel. I feel like it wasn't necessarily good for her. And I think it really depends on who goes home. I think that there were certain conversations that Rachel had which were not so great, but I do feel like she had some good conversations as well with like Keanu and stuff. But like Taran said, Keanu might be going home, so it might not even matter. I don't think that the fight with Morgan was good, especially with all the retells of it and all that stuff. So I don't love that. And yeah, like this week, it depends who goes home and whether or not that's beneficial to Rachel or not. So yeah, I think I'm sticking with my 4 because I don't really know.
Yeah, Rachel is still in the conversation for people as an option to go up. Is it impressive that she hasn't been on the block yet? Absolutely. I think it's just been the right combination of people that other people are prioritizing to go up. But it's surprising because you would expect people to have nominated her at this point. And I do think that her social game is like, I feel like she is putting herself in a good social situation with the right people. Like, yeah, there's that, contingent of Zach, Vince, Lauren, those people who would easily put Rachel up. But hey, she hasn't been up yet. She's in a very similar place as last week. Yes, keeping Keanu in the house should be a top priority, or like she should hope for that to be the case to help her game. But yeah, I don't see anything besides like not going on the block as something that kind of helped her this week, since we know that this HOH hasn't really been one to kind of like move mountains for Ava specifically. So wasn't going to do that for her allies either. So yeah, I came into this kind of, I was thinking like, okay, the way I'm viewing the game right now is like Ashley and Rachel could become a very strong duo. But in this current moment, yeah, I agree with the 4 as well.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. And I'm seeing people in the chat both saying this is underrating Rachel and saying this is overrating Rachel in the game. And I think part of that stems from the fact that the result of this week is kind of the big thing. If Vince goes, it's actually a pretty good week for Rachel, even if she does lose Mickey and Morgan, because she may gain Zach and Keanu stays in the house, and that's a good power base to start to build from. If Keanu goes, that's very bad for Rachel. It puts her at the very bottom of the entire structure of the game and an imminent danger to be targeted. If Zach leaves, it's still kind of bad, but could be spun to a neutral, just depending on the HOH result the following week. So it's just, there's a lot still in the air here. I don't love how she's playing socially still. But, you know, it is what it is for Rachel. The audience, though, in the ratings, gave her a 6. So that's where the audience stands.
Hey, I think it's fair in the sense that I was between a 4 and a 5. And so I could see that, you know, and obviously you got to think about how, just the curve that this house is on. It's like, oh, Rachel didn't like say her ally's name in front of the wrong person and say that she's targeting them. What?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's move on then to Rylie. Let's talk about Rylie. Melissa, how do you feel about Rylie?
I mean, I guess it's good that he's not nominated this week. And I think the fact that Katherine had the veto and made sure not to use it, and he didn't go on the block, not that he would have. And I guess the fact that people, I think it's like a double-edged sword. The fact that people are saying, well, we can't nominate Katherine or Rylie because Rylie will be mad, is like good and also bad because, you know, okay, cool, they don't get nominated. Bad because then it's like, wait a second. Like if the second someone gets wise to that and is like, wait, so we can't nominate either of them ever because we're just afraid that they're going to be mad if the other person gets nominated, we got to get them out. But the thing is that I don't know if anyone is going to think that. So, yeah, I feel like he's in a fine spot, I guess, but I don't think that I just don't think he's a good player. Like he just doesn't seem to understand it. And God, I don't know. I'm between a 4 and a 5, to be honest. Like I kind of want to just stick with my 4 because I really don't think he's doing all that much. But the fact that he doesn't seem to be someone that people are targeting is a good thing. And I guess if I'm looking at the board and I'm thinking like, okay, I gave Ashley a 5. Ah, God. Do I give him a 5 or do I give him a 4? I guess I'll just, you know what? I'm just going to go with a 4.
All right.
I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to do it. I don't know.
That's the hard thing here because it's like, do you look at Rylie's position in the house or do you rate him based on the type of player he is?
Right. It's like his position is good, but there's like no reason for it. His position should not be good. And like he's not doing anything to make his position good. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, do I look at like the fact that the rest of the cast is like, you know, not so good and that just automatically makes him good? Like I don't think so. So
well, just to continue to draw the Big Brother 21 comparisons, because this is the Jessica Milagros week theoretically, although not, I guess it's not exactly a 1-to-1, but like famously during Big Brother 21, we rated Jackson fairly low throughout much of the season because strategically he was constantly making mistakes and his position was only improving sort of incidentally. And then he started going on a comp run where if he lost a single one of those, he was likely to be evicted. Goes on to win the whole show. And I do feel like Rylie right now is in a little bit of the Jackson, Holly, Rylie, Katherine, maybe even a little bit of Drew Daniel and Diane kind of position here, where they are a showmance that is in a house full of chaos. And if they are able to start to comp out toward the end, they are in a significant place to do well. When I saw that Ava won this HOH, I was on the Q&A that day, the next morning, and I did say, like, I don't want to tell anyone this, but like, I'm looking at the board, right? Like Anna Taylor-Joy in the chess show, and I'm like, oh God, I
Yeah.
see the path for Rylie to win this game.
Queen's
It
Gambit.
just with Ava's HOH, it just opened up. Now, what I will say, sorry to steal your thing, Aysha, but I'm on a roll now. Is that he does not see that path, because that path is making sure Keanu stays this week and taking out one of Zach or Vinny. If that happens, Rylie's in a very, very good place, quite frankly. And he doesn't seem to want to take that path. So, you know, there's that. But the fact that the path exists and that it might happen with or without Rylie's consent, you know, is something to think about, for me at least. But please, Aysha.
Yeah, it's hard. I think because so thinking positioning versus his strategic abilities, I kind of have to like average it out, because I don't know, there has to be some type of miss that he puts under that cowboy hat that's like, oh yeah, I love Rylie. Rylie's amazing. Oh my God. It's just mind blowing. I mean, the fact that even Jimmy came out of the house and was like, wait, everybody doesn't love Rylie? Like, what?
Oh, I haven't seen this. I need to see this.
Yeah, it's like,
Wait, yeah, where did he say that? I want to know.
he did a live
Oh
on
my
Instagram,
God.
and thought, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Instagram. He was like, yeah, I thought everybody's gonna love Rylie, because like we all
Okay, there's got to be something.
Yeah,
like it must be just like an in-person thing. Like you just have to be like face to face with this person. I just like, I don't know.
It's wild. So yeah, he just has this charm that you have to witness in person, because we're not catching it on the screen. So, but because they're in the house with him, I feel like it's going to be a long time before people put up Rylie, unless they are individually realizing we can. Why are we just willingly keeping this showmance in the house? That is a bad thing. Like, we have to shake up that dynamic, whereas like they'll put them up together, and in that case, maybe they're like, oh, but I love Rylie, and then they get out Katherine. But of course, Rylie probably will try to die on his sword in that situation. So it's just like, I don't know. I just see this house for some reason loves him, and it's not. I want to say it's not his own doing, but maybe it is. Maybe he's just they love that laugh. I don't know what it is. So I say all that to say that I agree with the 4.
All right, a 4 from Aysha. The audience agrees. They gave Rylie a 4. And I will say I considered going higher, but I agree. I'm going to move up from my 3 last week and give Rylie a 4. I've already kind of explained it at this point. I do see the path, and quite frankly, it's in my. I mean, to be fair to me, I say quite frankly a decent amount, not as much as Ava says frankly, but now that I'm doing Aysha doing frankly, it's getting in my head even more. So I apologize if I'm quite franklying too much. But I do think that it is the most likely outcome that something like Zach leaves, and that's pretty good for Rylie and Katherine. Now, there is a downside, which is that they are starting to rise on the target list. I think Katherine winning this veto, again, was not a great thing for either of them. But I do think that you need to watch out for Rylie stock, because it could be rising very soon, depending on the outcome of this week and going into next week. Not to mention the fact that I do think he could be a favorite in a wall comp situation. And so who knows what happens then. If it follows the rest of the season, it means he tanks his whole game. All right, let's move on to Vince. Aysha, how do you feel about Vince?
Ooh, you know, he took this nomination better than I thought initially. You know,
wow, low expectations then.
I know. The energy Zach gave was what I thought Vince was going to be doing. You know, it eventually hit him that night, just like with how hard he was going. It was just like, okay, Vince, just you're not the only one playing. Everyone, whenever you think you're the only one playing, you're getting played. So the fact that he still just underestimates so many people in the house. Thinks the only people he's working with are the only ones playing. And the fact that he very well could be going home this week, like at the very least, if he's on the block after the blockbuster, he's maybe getting a few votes. So it's just kind of like, oh, okay, he's not safe in any scenario, and I don't think he's done himself any favors this week. Like I don't know. Like I think he really should be capitalizing on hearing that people are or like wanting Zach or wanting Keanu to kind of readjust his standing in the house. But I think now that people have recognized that he is a big player in the game, it's not doing him any favors trying to act like, well, why do they want to come after me? I mean, people just talk to me. And I'm like, yeah, if you have a lot of people talking to you, then that's for a reason. And just playing dumb, like I feel like he knows how he's doing in the house. Like playing dumb about it that's only further making people think that he doesn't value them in the game. So I really am sorry if you have Vince stock. But I'm actually going to give Vince a 2.
A 2 from Aysha. The audience a little bit higher on Vince. They gave him a 3. I will concur with the audience here with the 3. I think that Vince is probably the safest person on the block right now, but the probably is doing a lot of work there. I think between Vince and Keanu, it's, as Ashley might say, roughly 50-50. And so I think he is almost as likely to leave as Keanu is. And with that in mind, that's very bad, and he shouldn't be here. I don't think his campaigning has been very good so far. He hasn't done a ton of it on its own. His campaign to Mickey didn't really do much to change her mind. It was actually the like anti-campaign by Keanu that messed him up with Mickey. But Mickey's now back on board to keep Keanu again. So the whole thing's moot. And I sort of think that's an example of how it's actually not Vince's doing himself that's getting that to happen. He failed to get Katherine to use the veto on him in the same way that all of the other nominees did, but he theoretically had the best relationship with her to get her to do it, and just didn't press hard enough, which shouldn't be super surprised for Vince. And, you know, again, that whole scene completely failed to prevent his nomination, crying to Rachel and Will. He's in a lot of danger. He really is. I don't think that he's like completely dead in the water by any means, but he's just far too likely to leave to give him higher than a 3 right now. That is my opinion. Quite frankly, I think it's fair.
Yeah, I'll agree with the 3. I think that Vince is in danger, but I do think that the fact that a lot of people would like to keep him is a good thing. And the fact that it should be like, oh yeah, we need to get Vince out. It should be everybody in agreement that they should get Vince out. And it's not. And the fact that it's not is very good for him. I don't, like Taran, you said, it's not really his own doing at this point. Like, I think it is like the bonds he's built, but I think this week his campaigning has been not so great, and I don't think it's been helping him. So yeah, it's a 3 for me. But I think like if he stays, like, you know, it could go well for him.
Some fun little progressions here in the Stockwatch. We have somebody like Mickey, who had in week 1 a 7, then an 8, 7, and then a 2 and a 2. Big fall for Mickey. Here, let me maybe show you, like a 7, 7, 2, 2. Big fall for Mickey. Similar with Morgan, 6, 6, 6, 2, 2. Rachel with a steady decline here. But Vince is very interesting. He goes from a 2 to a 6 to a 3 to a 6 and then back to a 3.
Every other week, he's a flip-flopper.
Yes. Vince. Very funny stuff for Vince. Let's move on then to Will. And I believe we start with the audience for Will. So the audience gave Will a 6. Quite high.
Wow,
that is-
The
yeah.
second highest rating on the board, in fact.
very high.
Oh.
I can't say I'm that high on Will, personally. I think that I will say he's done some good work. He helped win Ava over to Ashley's side to prevent her from making the mistake, similar to what Mickey did. I think that he has some good sort of projection in terms of wanting to potentially target the showmance eventually. And in general is well enough liked, and is often not somebody that is being talked about as somebody to throw on the block. The problem is, like, where's his win equity, right? Like, where is his place in the game? It's not very good right now. I want to see him win some competitions if possible. Obviously, that can be pretty difficult, the kinds of competitions that they put in the game. But like, this is a good problem for Will to have, because it's, again, just above anybody else this season. I think perhaps that's where the 6 is coming from. I think on any other season, Will is getting probably around a 4 in the position he's at. This season, for me, it's more like a 5, because the curve is a little bit real. And Will is the person making some of the fewest mistakes. But it's not like he's crushing the game by any means at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's doing fine. I don't think he's doing I just like you said, like, I feel like I don't see where he goes, like how he wins this. Although I guess, like, I mean, how does anyone win it? I think, like, he has a good relationship with Ava and Ashley, and I think he's got some good relationships going on, and I feel like that is carrying him. And the fact that he doesn't have bad relationships, whereas other people are messing up and are creating these conflicts and are creating these bad relationships, I think that is, it's good for Will. But at the same time, like, I don't know if he's fully out of the woods in regards to being just, like, put on the block as a pawn. I think that it could be very easy for someone to be like, look, like, Will's not really making anyone mad, so I'm just going to put him on the block along with this target of mine. And then Will ends up going home. So at this point, like, I do want to increase his score, but I feel like I kind of want to wait and see how next week goes, when maybe, like, his closest ally is not HOH, like, maybe see what happens then. Because I don't know if he's really protected himself for the future weeks. So I'm going to give him a 4.
Will scares me sometimes, because, he hears everything on his side of the house. They are all talking about each other, and he hears it all. And I'm always like, oh my gosh, he's just being so agreeable. But then he goes, if he's hearing Ashley talk about Mickey, or Mickey talking about Ashley, he just goes and agrees with the other woman. So I think he has mastered the art of agreeing with everyone, no matter who it is. And it's a very fine line to ride before people start saying, do you recognize that he never has an original thought? But I think he is still in a fine position. I think, he got lucky by, Ava winning, but I think even if he were to go on the block, he could be okay, just because of, just in comparison to other people he's on the block with, and people so determined to get certain people out in the house. I don't think that anyone is that determined to get him out. I think they would be fine nominating him again, but no one is just like, we've got to get Will out. And I think until people are just, like, solely focused on that needing to be the case, he's doing okay. Like, I think he is in a very, like, middle of the road place in this house. So I'm going to give him a 5.
All right. A 5 for Will, which means he will end with a 5 there.
Wow, another 5.
All right. So that leaves us with Zach.
Literally just last
That's
week,
all I
I
had
was
to say.
thinking he is the best player in the house. Like literally just this past week, I was like, Zach's got it. Like he's going to win this thing. I thought for sure Zach was winning. I was like, man, I'm winning the draft. This is great. And now I'm like, oh, never mind. Oh man, this is like, he had it right there. And like every week we've been giving him a bumped up score because we've been like, but he has this power. And so if he's ever in danger, he has that safety for the
Retroactively take away points.
Literally. I just feel like we've been duped. Yeah, 1 for me as well. I cannot believe he's not using it. This is just so bad.
We've seen a lot of dumb moves this season. We really have. But this takes the absolute cake because you and only you alone know that you were perfectly fine. As soon as, someone won that I'm not like super, super close with, I'm fine. Like it does not, it breaks my brain to try to explain away why he would not save himself. That seemed like the only guarantee this week. And the fact that you are willingly deciding to stay on the block, there is no other rating than a 1 for him because it's just like, you go ahead and imagine yourself talking to Julie. Like, go ahead and picture it. It's so likely. Like, go ahead and say your goodbyes. Start your, I really enjoyed doing this with you in the house. Because it just doesn't make sense. For 10K, for 50K, maybe I would think like, oh, that's a good sum of money. Like that, maybe he's thinking, oh, I might get out anyway. And then I've lost that. For 10K, Zach, he can enjoy this 10K when he's talking to Julie on Thursday.
Yeah. Well, the audience gave him a 2. I will say it wasn't particularly close to a 1. It was closer to a 3 than a 1. So the audience did not go all the way.
Audience rarely gives 1s, so
it does.
I'm not surprised.
It does. It will, though, still be a 1 overall for Zach, who is. Let's not forget as well that Zach not only failed to use his power this week, but also in the HOH competition volunteered to play in a knockout round and then eliminated his ally Morgan in that competition on the HOH that he might leave because he then also failed to play his power to protect himself.
Oh, man, not good. Look at that. He went from a 7 to a 1. That's so bad.
Mm-hmm.
That's how losing money.
That's the problem. He was so comfortable. Mm-hmm. So comfortable. In fact, that he's just like, I think I'll be okay. So I don't even have to run the risk by using this power that isn't even in play every season. Use it.
Oof. It's so bad.
It's very bad. I didn't give a single rating over 5 this week.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
That's so bad. Oh, man. That's
and I think it's fair.
Oh, yeah,
absolutely.
I stand 10 toes down.
I think that it is very sad. I would much prefer for us to be giving 10s across the board.
Yeah. Well, this is where we are here on the Stockwatch, on the Roundtable podcast. And that's what we have for you this week. That's it. You can go to realitystockwatch.com to play along. The scores will be updated sometime in the coming days for you, and then you can of course buy and sell with what I assume will shake up the leaderboard. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, make sure you check out the live feed updates. I did quite a big one, supersized one today, getting into all of the conversations from yesterday, including Morgan's wild conversation with Zach. If you want to check that one out, I'll, of course, be live tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, to update you on everything that happened today and will happen tonight on the feeds. I mentioned it earlier, but you can also order my book right here. It's a book. It's called Behind the Mirror. You can order it at taranarmstrong.com. And find me over on YouTube and Twitch, all that good stuff. Aysha, where can people find you?
Yeah, y'all can find me on all social media at Aysha like Aysha. That's AYSHA like ASIA. Right now, I'm talking about Perfect Match. It's over on Netflix. The finale comes out this week. It's been a very drama-filled season. It's exactly what you expect Perfect Match to give. I'm talking about it with Jason Reed and Kirsten McInnes. So make sure you go check out our coverage of all the episodes so far. And then, you can follow me, like I said, at Aysha like Aysha. And also, one more thing, me and Jason are still covering Married at First Sight just over on our Patreon. So just find us there at Perfect Match Podcast. Still talking about Married at First Sight in the off season until season 19 returns on Peacock.
All right. Well, you can, of course, find Melissa at It's Melissa with 3 A's, although you will not find her doing jury duty, unfortunately. So that is what we have for you this week. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.